It's that word we're all sick of hearing, lockdown.
You must stay at home.
No socialising, no adventures, and fishing under multiple restrictions. But rather than moan about it, we're bringing you this series to keep you going through these troublesome times. I'm Alan Blair, and these are the Lockdown Lives. When the first lockdown hit, I undertook daily Instagram live streams, but once they were done, 24 hours later, they were gone forever. I was inundated with messages from people who had missed them, they had questions to ask, and they wanted to hear them again. So whether you've got questions about bait, want to hear me rant about what's right or wrong with fishing, FAQs, fishing in the upper layers, and plenty more, I hope this series will help answer some of your questions and potentially give you a little fishing fix during the most frustrating of times. These are the Lockdown Lives.
And that's it. It comes to a close. Episode number 9. I really hope you've enjoyed the previous 8 episodes. If you've listened to all 8, fair play to you, massive respect. Hope you learnt something, hope they weren't too boring. They were kind of one take, my thoughts on various subjects, and I'm really grateful that people have tuned in and listened and hopefully took something away from it. To end the series, episode number 9 of the Lockdown live streams, I'm going to discuss who is the greatest. Keep it nice and light-hearted to end. Who is the greatest angler out there? I'm going to keep it strictly within carp fishing, so we're not talking about all-rounders, we're talking about carp anglers here. Who is the greatest? You know, that's an open question. Comment below. Let me know who you think the greatest is. Is it the legendary Steve Briggs? Dave Lane? This is a legend. Dick Walker? Mr. Martin Bowler? What about the man himself? I know he's an all-rounder, a bit like Martin, but John Wilson? Big fan. Terry Earn, is he the greatest? What about the man himself, Mr. Kevin Nash? Definitely a legend. Another absolute carp catching machine, Jim Shelley. There's a lot of good anglers out there. Who is the greatest of them all? This kind of come about in the original first lockdown. I'm in an Instagram group with a number of close friends, all of which are anglers, but more importantly, they're the lads I go partying with. I won't mention them all, but a massive shout out to Ollie, to Reedy, Bastille, Flo, Dom, Thib, Lolo, HD Carpers, Joe and Dan, Matt Cutler, Dave Robinson, Bridger. Anyway, there's loads of lads in this group, and we talk about partying and music and mixing and fishing, but it cropped up, this particular conversation, who's the greatest angler? And the thread was really, really interesting to follow, and a lot of it revolved around the main man himself, Darryl Peck. You know, there's no doubt about it, he's an absolute machine, and the kind of general consensus was, he's the greatest, you know. I might think Terry's the greatest, Ollie might think Jim's the greatest, you know, but the general consensus after a lot of discussions, constructive discussions were, is Darryl Peck the greatest? And I thought it was really interesting and worth discussing with you guys to see if you had an opinion on that. How can you deem someone being the greatest angler? Is it that they've got this impressive photo album of big fish? But how did they catch those big fish? Did they have a lot of time, for example, more time maybe than you and I? Did they have access to waters that allowed them to catch those big fish? Or is it not just about big fish? How can it be measured? You know, I know with football, not that I'm a football fan or anything, but you can have like a Premier League and a Championships League, and then you've got the World Cup. Obviously, if you play against other teams, you go through that league and up that leaderboard kind of thing. Eventually, there is a team that becomes the champion. I suppose the same could be applied to running a race. If you run a 100-metre sprint, there's 10 of you running it, and you are the fastest, then you are the greatest 100-metre sprinter. But does it work in fishing? Can you have a greatest carp angler? Surely it's more of a personal preference, like I really like Terry Earn, for example, because X, Y, and Z. It's interesting that my brother, he's a non-fisherman. He dabbled with it a little bit when he was young, but he really doesn't do fishing. And he always winds me up and says, bro, you're not really that great, are you? Like, you haven't got any trophies, like, where's all your medals? And we have a lot of banter about this and stuff. Maybe he's right. Maybe to be the greatest, you've got to represent England. And big ups all the England squad and Rob Hughes for managing them and stuff. Maybe you've got to have won a big, competition like the BCAC or something. Maybe that makes you the greatest. Who knows? It's a very open discussion, this. For me, if I had to look back over the years, who are the greatest anglers I've ever fished with, it would be my dad, definitely. He got me into fishing. He was a great angler, but he's certainly not the greatest. He hasn't got the big carp album to back it up and stuff. But to me, he was a great angler, and he taught me so much. Terry Earn, as I mentioned, I was, besotted, completely idolised him in my younger teenage years, aspired to be like him, fish like him, and catch the fish that he caught. And even to this day now, all those years later, I still think, he's some guy, he's some angler, he still catches them, incredible carp angler. Nashy, I've had best part of 15 years in his company, enjoyed some of my best carp fishing sessions with him, various places all over the world, and he's taught me so much, so to me, he is definitely one of the greatest because of the amount of stuff I've learned from him. Another one, Ollie, I've spent so much time fishing with Ollie Davis. He is a great angler. I definitely think he's a better angler than me, but I catch more fish than him a lot of the time, probably because I work that little bit harder than him. I think if Ollie really tried hard, he would definitely be one of the greatest anglers, carp anglers of the world. A few other names, Mark Hoffman, I've had the pleasure of fishing with him a few times. I'd put him on par with like Daryl Peck, both absolute machines. Mark Vusen, phenomenal angler. Jocelyn Dupree, Joris Walters, haven't fished with Joris for years, but back in the day, I looked up to him so much. He's such a great angler. Joe Atkinson, a name, not necessarily a big name, but in the UK scene, people know who Joe is. He just catches them. A lot of people say he's gifted. He just turns up at a water and catches them. Carl and Alex, phenomenal anglers. Alfie Russell. There's loads of great anglers out there, but, who is the greatest? Recently, I stumbled across a lad, Mark Boots Robertson, on Instagram. Ridiculous amount of captures. Is he one of the greatest out there? That's someone I'd not even heard of before until I bumped into him. Bringing it back to another sport or something outside of carp fishing, golf. Again, never played any golf. The only golf courses I go on to are the ones with carp in the ponds that I go on and poach and stuff. But I understand in golf you have a handicap, and the handicap puts you in a ranking, I think it's the lower your handicap, the better the golf you are. So again, it seems measurable, to how great someone is. But it just seems really difficult to ascertain that within angling. So I thought more and more about it, and this is where I've come to. And you can now do this, carry out this exercise to try and work out maybe who you thought was the greatest, how great you think they are, or more so for you. It's an opportunity for you to sit and think about various different areas of our carp fishing and how good are you at them, or more importantly, where could you improve to become a better angler? That's why I've done it, So, there's 12 different areas that I've broken down carp fishing into, most of which, not strangely enough, have been covered in the previous sort of 8 episodes of the Lockdown live stream. So number one, an area as a carp angler we need to be the best we can be at is location, observation, watercraft. So that's number one. Number two, technical ability. How good are you with rigs and understanding them and finding spots, dragging back and feeling with braid and stuff? How much do you get involved in bait? Think about your bait choice, possibly dabble with making the bait yourself to give you the ultimate hook bait or bait for a situation. Incorporating technology into angling. Are you using drones and fishing washing line setups, and how technical are you in your approach? Casting, it's a big part of fishing, it's a big part of carp fishing. And I'm not just talking about distance, you can cast 40 wraps, for example. I'm talking about accuracy. Can you underarm it underneath a little bush? Casting's an important part of our carp fishing. Number 4, stalking, edge fishing, hunting, going quietly, creeping in, making a really discreet cast, tripping that fish up kind of thing, that style, how good are you at that? Big hits, whether that be match competition fishing or whether that just be turning up somewhere busy, slotting in amongst a load of other anglers and just out fishing everyone because you're in that sort of big hit mindset. You're working a swim, you're ascertaining how much to feed, when to make changes and stuff. Catching the biggest, it's got to be a factor. Is it a case that you caught loads and loads of big fish? Boat work, your ability to turn up on a massive inland sea in Europe and go out there and just fish, where a lot of people would just be like, where do I start kind of thing. Experience, how long have you been doing it for? That must play a massive part. If you've only been doing it a year or so, then of course you can't be as great as someone who's been doing it 20, 30, 40 years. Time, it's got to play a factor. You'll often hear people say, oh yeah, but he's full time, like he's got all the time in the world, how can I ever compete with him? Is time a big factor? In this one, I've broken it into, is it you're a full-time angler, is it you go regularly, or is it you go very, very rarely, maybe once a month, for example? This is a big one for me. At number 10, energy, motivation, determination, focus. Basically, you get up and go, how much you're prepared to work and graft. Again, I think that plays a big factor into how successful and how great someone is as an angler. Number 11, interesting one this, your etiquette on the bank. How do you behave amongst other anglers? Are you ruthless? Are you selfish? Or are you the kind of person that wants to share knowledge and help other people? You could look at this two ways, A great angler might be the one who's ruthless and selfish, but conversely, to your fellow anglers, you're not great at all, behaving like that. So it needs to be looked at from two different ways that way. And at number 12, whether this plays any part in it whatsoever, luck. How much does our fishing revolve around luck? Or is it all skill? Bastel will always joke, yeah, I put my red beanie on and because I've got my red beanie, I'm going to catch loads of big fish today. That's rubbish, Bastel. You catch loads of big fish because you're a really good angler. Kev always used to say to me, I used to say to him, yeah, good luck, mate, have a good session, good luck. Don't wish me good luck, you create your own luck. And I kind of make him right on that point. So there's the 12 areas that I've kind of looked at within my carp fishing, your carp fishing, and thought they're kind of 12 key areas that I believe will make someone an okay, a good, or an excellent angler. And that's how I've broken it down now into a scoring system. So basically, you can score 1, 2, or 3 points. You get 1 point if you're okay at something. I'm okay at casting. I'm okay at tracking the fish down. I'm okay with my rigs. My etiquette on the bank's okay, Then you've got good, number 2. You get 2 points if you're good at something. Yeah, I'm really good at hunting the fish down, or I'm really good at, taking a boat out onto a massive inland sea. And then number 3 is excellent. You're excellent. So, yeah, I'm excellent at hunting those fish down. I'm an excellent stalker. So there you go, 1 point for okay, 2 for good, and you get 3 points if you are excellent at something. So what I then did was did the test myself to evaluate where I'm at with my fishing, how far up this greatness chart would I personally rank myself. And it is a very personal thing, guys. If you're gonna do this, you've got to do it truthful to yourself, otherwise what's the point? There's no point scoring yourself 3 points for everything. You've got to try and be truthful. So that's exactly what I went done. Going back through again, the first one, location, observation, watercraft, finding those fish. I scored myself a 3. I do put an awful lot of effort into it. It was episode number 2. It is a fundamentally important part of our angling, finding those fish. And yeah, I do try really hard. I very nearly scored myself just 2 points, as in good. And if you remember back to that episode, I was quite honest saying that once my rods are out, I'm not very good at sitting, looking at the water for hours and hours on end. So if you could get a half point, I'd probably score myself 2.5 on this as opposed to 3. But to keep it nice and simple, I've been kind to myself and given myself 3 points. Number 2, technical ability. So your ability to tie technical rigs, understand bait, utilise technology in your fishing. I've given myself 2. I keep things pretty simple. I don't draw on much technology. I don't use drones. I don't use deepers. I don't use echo sounders. My rigs are really basic. We covered this, strength, reliability, armour link, twister slip D, Ronnie rig, claw rig. I keep it nice and simple. So I've given myself 2 points for that. Casting, distance and accuracy. If it was just down to accuracy, I'd probably give myself 3, but distance is also really important. There's many situations, he who can cast the furthest, he or she who can cast the furthest out into an area of the lake the fish feels safe will catch more than everyone else. And my distance casting is pretty appalling. So even though I think my accuracy is good, my distance is dreadful, so I've gone in the middle and give myself 2 for good. Stalking, edge fishing, hunting. Yeah, I'm going to big myself up here and give myself a 3. Hope you enjoyed the previous episode which featured that heavily. I love nothing more than grabbing that sawn off, creeping around, looking for opportunities. So yeah, 3 points there. And number 5, big hits, competition fishing, match fishing, or more importantly, picking a swim, staying in it, working it. I've given myself a 1 because it's not really my style. It's definitely an area I'd love to improve on. That and the casting, being able to cast 3 rods tight on a spot accurately over the top of them, work that swim, read signals and signs, and fish well in one peg. For me, I'm not good enough at it yet, so I've given myself a 1. Big carp, catching the biggest. Again, it's not me. I haven't done the whole circuit water scene. Rarely do I have a target. If I've got a target, it's usually a 7-pound koi living in a little stream somewhere. It's just not my style of angling, going onto these busy pressured venues. I massively respect the people that can do it, those anglers that go out there week in, week out and fish for a particular target. But for me, I'm not great at it, so I've only given myself 1. Boat work, big waters, going out there into, these inland seas. I've given myself a 2. I like to try it. I feel confident doing it. I've had some good success doing it. For me, it's as much as the adventure as anything else. Yeah, I can use a boat. I'm pretty handy in a boat and I'm pretty confident out there, finding the right areas, placing rigs, getting back to the bank, not getting tangled up and stuff. So yeah, I've given myself a 2 there. Experience. Well, I've not been doing it as long as Nashy, and I've certainly not been doing it as long as some of these other guys here, but I have been doing it a fair old whack of time. 30 years is a long time to be invested into something, but it's not 40, it's not 50, it's not 60 years. I could have given myself a 1 here because I've had lots of experience, but I've actually gone in the middle and scored myself 2. 2 points for experience. Time, how much time do I get? I've actually flipped this one around. So if you are full-time, give yourself 1 point. If you only go a little bit, give yourself 3 points. If you're somewhere in the middle and you go relatively quite regularly, give yourself 2 points. I've given myself 2 points. I'm definitely not full-time, but I do get to go fishing quite a bit because of my work and stuff. I think I'm about average, I don't do full weekends, but I might do a couple of times in the week. So yeah, I'm going to give myself 2 points there. Number 10 was energy, motivation, determination, focus. Definitely I've scored myself 3. I think that's probably one of my biggest strengths as an angler. Don't want to give up, want to keep going, getting up nice and early, driven, focused, want to catch. I think that's a big part of my success anyway. Etiquette on the bank. Am I super helpful? Am I super friendly? Do I want others to catch? That's a real tricky one because I actually think I'm quite a selfish angler. When I'm not fishing, I'll do anything to help others catch. I love nothing more than seeing other people catch, but when I'm fishing, I am ruthless and selfish. Even to my friends, like Reedy always says, I hate going fishing with you because I'll always try and stitch him up and get in a better peg. So yeah, probably should only give myself 1, but because I do go so out of my way to help others some of the time, I'm going to give myself 2. My etiquette's not bad, it could be better, but I think a really good angler, he is a selfish angler. And finally, luck. It's a really strange one, that. I don't know how much of the fishing I do is lucky or if it's created luck, wherever I've worked so hard and created that luck myself. That's a tricky one. I'm going to score myself 2. And maybe you should do the same there, unless you genuinely feel you're a super lucky person, unless you've done the lottery last week and won it, unless you are super lucky, I think most people should probably give themselves a number 2 score there. So that was me honestly answering those things to try and evaluate how great an angler I feel I am personally. My score was 25 out of 36. So you can see I've got a long way to go, in my opinion, to improve my angling and stuff. And that excites me, you know. We talked about it, I think in episode 1, you can't complete fishing, you know. It's an ongoing game, an ongoing learning curve. You're always putting those pieces together. It changes so often, the variables change, the conditions change, and that really excites me. It excites me that I've only got 25 out of 36 because there's loads of growth there for me to learn new skills and hone those skills and become a better angler. Try it yourself. Do it with some mates, maybe get a mate to score you so you're getting even more of an honest answer. And just remember to be truthful. It's only a bit of fun, it's only a bit of banter. That's how it started anyway in that Instagram group with all my mates. Just a bit of banter about who is the actual greatest. That's it, guys. That is the last lockdown live episode. Again, thank you very much for tuning in. I don't know when you're going to see this, probably around April time, something like that, which means all the spring bulbs will be up, the birds will be starting to build nests. We're very unlikely to get any more heavy ground frost or snow. The fish are going to be coming in the upper layers. Hopefully by then we'll be night fishing. We might even be able to meet in groups of 6. Yeah, it's been a rough old period, this coronavirus. I'd like to thank all of you for messaging me, keeping me motivated. I know you say that I'm doing it to you, but it's a two-way thing, you know. You've really kept me going too with the positive messages and stuff. And yeah, I just can't wait to bump into you on the bank somewhere, get back to doing shop days, get to those big public shows, maybe even meet up in the pub, or best case, a big festival somewhere where we can dance the night away. Big love, guys, look after yourself, and best of luck with your fishing in the future.